Welcome to We Stoic channel, where we dive into life's complexities through the timeless wisdom. Today, we're exploring a topic that might feel uncomfortable at first, but carries profound value for anyone navigating relationships. 12 signs that a woman has slept with many men. Now, take a moment and breathe. This isn't about judgment. It's not about criticism. It's about clarity. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." That's exactly what we aim for here, to help you approach these signs with composure, not assumptions, and to guide you toward decisions rooted in understanding, not emotions. Imagine this. You're in a relationship and something feels off. You can't quite put your finger on it, but certain actions, words, or behaviors trigger questions. That's what we're unpacking today. These signs are not meant to label anyone. They're here to provide insight and guide you toward better communication and awareness. If you've ever felt uncertainty creeping into your relationships or questioned the dynamic between you and your partner, stay with me. I promise by the end of this video, you'll walk away with practical tools inspired by Stoicism to help you navigate these situations with confidence and calm. Let's begin. Sign 1. Excessive comfort in physical intimacy. From the moment you started dating, you notice something intriguing. She seems unusually comfortable with physical intimacy. Her confidence, her ease. It's captivating, yet it leaves you with questions. Why does she seem so at home in this space so early on? Is this simply her personality, or could it hint at a more complex history? When someone exhibits boldness in physical intimacy, it's often seen as confidence or emotional connection. But for some, it can trigger feelings of uncertainty, even insecurity. You may begin to wonder, am I special, or is this how she's been with everyone? This isn't about shaming or making assumptions. Rather, it's about understanding what lies beneath that comfort and how it might shape your relationship. Imagine this scenario. John, a thoughtful and introspective guy, recently started dating Anna. On their second date, she leaned in with an unexpected boldness, catching him off guard. As the relationship progressed, Anna's ease in physical intimacy seemed almost rehearsed, leaving John with a mix of admiration and unease. Was her confidence rooted in genuine affection, or was it shaped by a pattern of fleeting relationships? John found himself questioning his place in Anna's life, torn between his emotions and his instincts. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Meditations. The Stoics teach us to resist letting external circumstances, like Anna's past or her confidence, control our emotions. Instead, we focus on what we can control: our thoughts, our responses, and our actions. So, how do you navigate this situation without jumping to conclusions? First, remember that her comfort with physical intimacy doesn't automatically define her worth or her feelings for you. It might simply reflect her personality or how she approaches relationships. Open communication is key. Instead of harboring doubts, have an honest conversation. Express your observations without judgment and invite her to share her perspective. Start with something like, "I've noticed how confident you are with physical intimacy, and it's something I admire, but I'd love to understand what shapes that side of you." This creates space for dialogue rather than defensiveness, fostering trust and deeper understanding. If her confidence stems from a healthy embrace of her desires, this could strengthen your connection. However, if it reveals unresolved patterns or challenges from her past, this awareness gives both of you the opportunity to address them together. Now, reflect for a moment. Have you ever found yourself feeling uncertain about someone's confidence in a relationship? How did you handle it? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your experiences might inspire or comfort someone else. Relationships thrive on trust, understanding, and emotional clarity. When faced with signs that spark doubt, take a Stoic approach. Resist judgment, seek understanding, and act with reason. Challenges like this are not roadblocks, but opportunities to deepen your connection and grow together. Sign 2. Avoids serious conversations. It starts small. Every time you try to discuss something meaningful, your future together, past experiences, or even emotional needs, she skillfully diverts the topic. At first, you brush it off, thinking it's just her way of keeping things light. But over time, the pattern becomes undeniable. She avoids deep, serious conversations, leaving you wondering if she's truly invested or simply hiding something. This avoidance can create a subtle but persistent sense of unease in the relationship. It's not about assuming the worst or accusing her of being insincere. Rather, it's about recognizing that emotional intimacy requires openness and honesty. When someone repeatedly shies away from these discussions, it could point to unresolved issues from their past, perhaps past pain, fear of vulnerability, or reluctance to commit. Picture this. Alex and Mia had been dating for a few months. Alex, eager to take the next step, brought up the idea of moving in together. Mia smiled but quickly shifted the conversation to a funny meme she had seen earlier. It wasn't the first time she dodged a serious topic. Whether it was discussing her past relationships or her vision for the future, Mia consistently avoided opening up. Alex began to feel disconnected, questioning whether Mia truly saw a future with him. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Discourses. This wisdom reminds us that clarity begins with ourselves. If someone avoids serious conversations, it's essential to first understand what you want from the relationship and whether their behavior aligns with your goals. So, how should you approach this situation? Start by creating a safe space for dialogue. Instead of confronting her with accusations, express your feelings calmly. For example, you could say, "I've noticed that we don't often talk about deeper topics, and I'd love to understand how you feel about discussing things like our future or personal experiences." This approach shows empathy and invites her to open up without feeling pressured. However, if the avoidance persists despite your efforts, it's important to evaluate whether this aligns with your needs. Not everyone is ready or willing to engage in emotional depth, and that's okay. But in the long run, emotional connection is vital for a healthy, fulfilling relationship. Take a moment to reflect. Have you ever been in a relationship where someone avoided serious conversations? How did it make you feel, and what did you do to address it? Share your experiences in the comments. Your insights could help others navigating similar challenges. Sign 3. Frequently cancels plans at the last minute. You've been excited all week for a date you carefully planned. The time you set aside feels like a gift of your attention and care. Then, just a few hours before, a message comes through. "Sorry, something came up. Can we reschedule?" Disappointed but understanding, you brush it off. But then it happens again and again. Her reasons may seem valid: unexpected work, an unwell friend, or just not feeling up to it. Yet, as the pattern repeats, doubts creep in. Am I truly important to her? Frequent last-minute cancellations often carry hidden messages. While everyone occasionally faces unexpected hurdles, consistent patterns suggest deeper dynamics. It can signal emotional disorganization, poor prioritization, or even an unconscious detachment from the relationship. Over time, such behavior leaves you questioning the foundation of trust and respect. It's not the cancellations themselves, but the underlying implications that gnaw at the connection. Consider Ethan's experience. He adored Julia's spontaneity when they began dating, but as their relationship grew, her unpredictability started to hurt. Movie nights turned into lonely evenings when Julia cancelled plans without much explanation. Her promises of "I'll make it up to you" sounded hollow after the fourth time. Finally, Ethan confronted her, explaining how her actions made him feel insignificant. Julia shrugged, saying, "It's just how things are for me right now." That response told Ethan all he needed to know. Her life left little room for the stability he sought. Marcus Aurelius said it best: "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Meditations. This Stoic wisdom reminds us that we must first hold ourselves to a standard of integrity and reciprocity. Relationships require mutual respect and consistency. If one partner consistently falters, it's worth examining whether their priorities align with yours. How should you approach this situation? Start by expressing your feelings constructively. "I've noticed our plans often get cancelled last minute, and it makes me feel like I'm not a priority. Can we talk about what's going on?" Such openness invites reflection rather than defensiveness. If her reasons are genuine, work together to set clearer expectations or more flexible dates. But if her actions remain unchanged, you have a choice to make. Relationships thrive on mutual effort, not one-sided compromise. Reflect on your own needs. Are they being met? Recognize when a lack of commitment signals a misalignment in values or emotional readiness. Have you ever faced a situation where constant cancellations left you questioning your role in someone's life? How did you handle it? Share your insights in the comments. Remember, you deserve a connection where your time and presence are genuinely valued. Trust and respect are shown through actions, not excuses. Sign 4. Inconsistent stories about the past. You're having a conversation, and she starts sharing a story about her past. At first it seems casual, but then you notice something peculiar. The details don't line up. One day she talks about a long-term relationship that shaped her view on love. Another time she mentions never having had a serious relationship. Or maybe her stories about a specific experience, like a trip or an old friend, don't quite match the last time she told them. These inconsistencies might feel minor, but they leave you wondering, what's the truth? When someone shares inconsistent stories about their past, it can create feelings of doubt and unease. In a healthy relationship, trust is built on honesty and transparency. Inconsistencies can make you question whether you truly know the person you're with, leading to emotional strain and insecurity. While it's important not to jump to conclusions, it's equally crucial to recognize when something feels off. Consider Liam's story. He had been dating Clara for 6 months. Early on, Clara shared a story about an ex-boyfriend who had hurt her deeply, but months later, when the topic came up again, her account was completely different. She claimed they had simply drifted apart. At first, Liam tried to rationalize the discrepancy, but as similar inconsistencies emerged, he couldn't ignore the growing sense that Clara wasn't being entirely truthful. It left him wondering whether she was intentionally hiding something, or if these contradictions were simply a reflection of her past being too complex to summarize neatly. As Epictetus wisely said, "First learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak." Discourses. This Stoic insight reminds us that clarity in words and actions reflects clarity in intention. In relationships, consistent communication builds trust, while inconsistencies, even if unintentional, can erode it. So, how do you handle this? Start by observing without immediate judgment. Sometimes people alter their stories unintentionally, either because they feel embarrassed about certain details or because they're still processing their past. Approach the situation with curiosity rather than confrontation. You might say, "I noticed you shared something different about this story earlier. I'd love to understand more about it." This approach opens the door for honest dialogue while minimizing defensiveness. If she provides clarity and her inconsistencies stem from natural human flaws, like forgetfulness or emotional discomfort, this can actually strengthen your bond. However, if she avoids the topic, becomes defensive, or continues to contradict herself without explanation, it's worth reassessing the level of trust in the relationship. Honesty is the cornerstone of any strong partnership, and without it, emotional connection can crumble. Now, reflect for a moment. Have you ever encountered someone whose stories didn't align? How did it affect your trust in the relationship, and what did you do to address it? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your experience could resonate with others. Remember, Stoicism teaches us to remain composed and seek clarity. If the inconsistencies persist and weigh heavily on your trust, it might be a sign to realign your priorities. Focus on what you can control: your response, your values, and your ability to seek the truth. Sign 5. Secrecy about personal devices. You notice a pattern. Every time you're together and her phone buzzes, she quickly flips it face down or slides it out of sight. If you walk by while she's using her laptop, she abruptly closes it or switches tabs. At first you dismiss it as her valuing privacy, but over time, her secrecy around her personal devices starts to raise questions. What is she hiding? Why does she seem so guarded? Being protective of one's devices is natural. After all, they hold a wealth of personal information. However, when that secrecy becomes excessive, it can create an atmosphere of distrust. You might find yourself questioning her motives or feeling like she's keeping parts of her life deliberately hidden from you. In a relationship, transparency is crucial for building trust, and this level of guardedness can undermine that foundation. Take Sam's story, for instance. He'd been dating Emma for several months and thought things were going well, but every time her phone vibrated, Emma would glance at it and then tuck it away without explanation. One evening, while they were watching a movie, her phone lit up with a message, and she quickly excused herself to another room. When Sam gently brought it up later, Emma responded defensively, "I just need my privacy." Her reaction left him feeling uneasy and unsure of where they stood. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Meditations. Stoicism teaches us that how we react to situations is a reflection of our inner state. If secrecy triggers feelings of doubt or frustration, it's essential to address those emotions with clarity and composure rather than letting them spiral into suspicion. So, what should you do? First, remember that privacy and secrecy are not the same. Privacy is about personal boundaries, while secrecy often involves intentionally concealing information. Approach the situation calmly. Instead of accusing her, express how her actions make you feel. For example, you might say, "I've noticed that you're quite protective of your phone, and it makes me wonder if there's something I should be concerned about. Can we talk about it?" Her response will likely reveal a lot. If she acknowledges your feelings and provides reassurance or context, it could simply be a misunderstanding. However, if she becomes defensive or avoids the conversation, it might indicate deeper issues that need addressing. Remember, trust is built through open communication, not suspicion or prying. Reflect on this for a moment. Have you ever experienced a situation where secrecy in a relationship made you question trust? How did you handle it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective could resonate with others navigating similar challenges. Ultimately, Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control. You can't force someone to be transparent, but you can decide how you respond. If the secrecy persists and continues to undermine trust, it might be time to reevaluate the relationship. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Discourses. Trust your instincts, value your peace, and prioritize relationships built on honesty and respect. Sign 6. Reluctance to discuss sexual health. You decide it's time for an honest conversation about sexual health, a discussion that's crucial in building trust and intimacy. But when you bring it up, she hesitates. Perhaps she changes the subject, downplays its importance, or avoids answering directly. Her reluctance feels unusual, especially since open communication is key to a healthy relationship. This hesitancy leaves you wondering, why is she uncomfortable discussing such an important topic? Talking about sexual health can feel awkward, but it's essential for mutual respect and trust. When someone avoids this conversation, it may stem from embarrassment, past trauma, or fear of being judged. While it's important not to assume the worst, a consistent unwillingness to address these issues can create uncertainty and erode the foundation of your relationship. Imagine this. Michael and Lisa had been dating for a few months. Their connection was strong, but Michael noticed that Lisa seemed hesitant whenever the topic of sexual health came up. One evening, he gently asked about her thoughts on getting tested together, emphasizing the importance of mutual safety. Lisa grew defensive, saying, "Why would you even ask that? Don't you trust me?" Her reaction left Michael confused and unsure of how to proceed. As Marcus Aurelius said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Meditations. Stoicism teaches us to approach discomfort as an opportunity for growth and understanding. While her reluctance might feel like a roadblock, it's also a chance to deepen your connection through patience and empathy. How can you navigate this sensitive situation? Start by fostering a safe, non-judgmental space for dialogue. Reassure her that your intention isn't to question her character, but to prioritize mutual care and understanding. You might say, "I care about our relationship and our health, and I think it's important to have an open conversation about this. How do you feel about discussing it together?" If her hesitation stems from genuine discomfort or past experiences, give her time to process. Be patient and compassionate, letting her know that you're willing to approach the topic at her pace. However, if she continues to avoid the conversation or dismisses its importance, it may signal deeper issues, such as unresolved fears or lack of transparency. In such cases, it's essential to evaluate whether the relationship aligns with your values and needs. Remember, the Stoics remind us to focus on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, and our ability to communicate with integrity. If someone's reluctance to discuss vital issues affects your peace of mind, it's okay to set boundaries. As Epictetus wisely noted, courage is knowing what not to fear. Discourses. Embrace these conversations as a way to strengthen trust or recognize when it's time to prioritize your own well-being. Sign 7. Overly dependent on appearance. You can't help but notice it. Her mirror is her closest companion. Every outing requires hours of preparation. Every selfie is meticulously curated. While taking pride in one's appearance is normal, there's a fine line between healthy self-care and an excessive reliance on looks for validation. When someone becomes overly dependent on their appearance, it often signals a deeper insecurity or an overemphasis on external validation. In relationships, this dynamic can create challenges. Excessive focus on physical appearance may overshadow deeper emotional connections, leaving you feeling like you're dating an image rather than a fully present partner. It might also lead to comparisons or feelings of inadequacy, as you question if you can keep up with the standards she places on herself or on you. Consider Jake's story. His girlfriend Amanda always looked stunning, and Jake admired her dedication to self-care. But over time, he noticed how much her mood depended on compliments from others. Before they went anywhere, Amanda would ask repeatedly, "Do I look okay? Are you sure this dress is right?" If she didn't receive praise from others during their outings, she'd withdraw, becoming distant and irritable. Jake began to feel like their connection was superficial, centered more on appearances than emotional intimacy. As Marcus Aurelius wisely noted, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Meditations. Stoicism reminds us to prioritize inner virtues over external appearances. While beauty fades, character, integrity, and emotional connection endure. Recognizing this truth can help navigate relationships where external validation plays a dominant role. How should you approach this situation? Start by acknowledging her efforts and showing appreciation for the qualities beyond her appearance. Say something like, "I love how much care you put into looking your best, but what I value most is your kindness and the way you connect with people." This reinforces that her worth isn't solely tied to how she looks. Encourage open conversations about self-esteem and validation. If she feels comfortable, explore why her appearance plays such a significant role in her self-perception. This can deepen your understanding of her experiences and help you build a more meaningful connection. If her dependency on appearance continues to dominate the relationship, reflect on whether this aligns with your values. Relationships thrive on emotional depth and mutual growth, not just surface-level admiration. Remember, you cannot change someone's priorities, but you can decide how they align with your own. Now, let's turn it over to you. Have you ever felt like appearance overshadowed emotional connection in a relationship? How did you handle it? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective might inspire others to reflect on what truly matters. Sign 8. Inclined to compare, whether positively or negatively. You're in the middle of what seems like an ordinary conversation, and then it happens. She says something like, "You're so much more attentive than my ex," or "My ex always knew how to plan the best surprises." At first, it might feel flattering. Who doesn't enjoy being praised for their qualities? But as these comparisons keep cropping up, you start to feel like you're part of an unspoken competition. Whether positive or negative, these comments subtly remind you of her past relationships, making you question if she's truly living in the present with you. Comparisons like these, while often unintended, can create emotional turbulence. They chip away at the individuality of the relationship and make you wonder if you're being judged against an invisible standard. Even when meant as praise, these remarks can leave you feeling like you're not seen for who you truly are, but as a better, or worse, version of someone else. Let's take Ryan's story. He'd been dating Emily for a few months when he started noticing her habit of comparing him to her past partners. "You're so responsible. My ex could never manage his time," she once said. While Ryan appreciated the acknowledgement, it began to feel like every aspect of their relationship was measured against her history. It wasn't just about being better. It was about the constant presence of someone who should have been left in the past. Over time, Ryan found himself growing resentful, unable to shake the feeling that he wasn't being appreciated for simply being himself. As Marcus Aurelius wisely observed, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Meditations. This Stoic principle reminds us that our peace comes from focusing on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and presence in the moment. Allowing comparisons to dominate your relationship clouds the present and diminishes the value of what you're building together. If you're facing this situation, begin by addressing it with kindness and clarity. You might say, "I appreciate your kind words, but when comparisons come up, it makes me feel like I'm being measured against someone else, rather than being valued for who I am. This approach opens the door to honest dialogue without putting her on the defensive. Encourage her to reflect on why these comparisons arise. Sometimes, unresolved emotions or habits from past relationships unconsciously seep into new ones. By fostering understanding and patience, you can help her shift focus toward the present. If comparisons persist, despite your efforts to address them, it's essential to evaluate the relationship's impact on your well-being. You deserve to be celebrated for who you are, not as a replacement or comparison. In the end, relationships thrive when they're rooted in authenticity and presence. Let go of what you can't control and focus on nurturing connections that value who you are. Remember, true growth happens when you embrace the moment, unburdened by the shadows of the past. Sign 9. Avoiding introducing you to family or friends. You've been dating for a while and things seem to be going well. But then, you notice something odd. She never mentions introducing you to her family or friends. Whenever the topic comes up, she quickly changes the subject or provides an excuse like, "They're really busy," or "It's not the right time." At first, you brush it off, thinking she just needs time. But as months go by, the distance between you and her inner circle feels intentional. This avoidance begins to weigh on you, raising the question, why doesn't she want to integrate you into her life? Introducing a partner to close friends or family is a significant step in any relationship. It's a gesture of trust and a way of showing that the relationship matters. When someone avoids this, it can signal deeper concerns. Perhaps she's unsure about the relationship, or she's hiding something from her past. While these possibilities shouldn't immediately lead to suspicion, they warrant careful reflection. Emotional transparency is vital, and avoiding this step can leave you feeling sidelined and undervalued. Consider Ethan's experience. He'd been dating Mia for nearly a year. She was warm, funny, and deeply caring, but whenever Ethan mentioned meeting her friends, she would say, "They're not really social," or "I don't want to mix things yet." Ethan tried to be patient, but the constant deflection made him feel like he wasn't truly part of her world. The final straw came when Ethan overheard Mia talking about a gathering with her friends, an event he hadn't even been invited to. It left him questioning whether he was truly important to her. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." Meditations. Stoicism teaches us to act with integrity and clarity, focusing on our actions rather than overanalyzing others' behaviors. If someone's actions leave you feeling uncertain, it's essential to address those feelings with honesty and purpose. Start by having an open and non-confrontational conversation. You might say, "I've noticed we haven't had the chance to meet each other's friends or family yet, and I'd love to feel more connected to your world. Is there a reason you'd like to wait?" This approach invites dialogue without putting her on the defensive. If her reluctance stems from insecurity or past experiences, listen with empathy and give her time to open up. However, if she continues to evade the subject or offers vague excuses, it may indicate deeper issues of emotional availability or commitment. In such cases, reflect on whether this relationship aligns with your values and expectations. Ultimately, a healthy relationship thrives on mutual respect and integration into each other's lives. If someone hesitates to share their world with you, it's worth exploring why. Recognize your worth and seek relationships that value inclusion, transparency, and mutual growth. Sign 10. Frequently staying in contact with exes. You're in a happy relationship, or so you think. Then you notice something that leaves you unsettled. She frequently brings up her exes, mentions chatting with them, or maintains an ongoing connection. While staying friendly with an ex isn't inherently bad, frequent communication can blur boundaries, especially if it's affecting the emotional intimacy in your relationship. This behavior often raises a crucial question. Is she truly invested in building a future with you, or is she still tethered to her past? Frequent contact with an ex can create tension and insecurities. It might leave you questioning whether you're being compared to someone else or whether unresolved feelings linger. Trust, a cornerstone of any relationship, begins to erode when the presence of a past partner feels like a shadow looming over your connection. Let's look at Josh's story. He was dating Claire, a kind and confident woman. Claire assured him that her frequent texts with her ex were just friendly. But over time, Josh began to feel uneasy. It wasn't just the texts, it was the emotional energy Claire seemed to invest in those conversations. Once, during a heated argument, Claire let slip, "My ex would never react like this." That one comment shattered Josh's confidence, making him feel like he was constantly being measured against someone who no longer should have mattered. As Epictetus wisely stated, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Discourses. This principle reminds us that relationships, like life, require clear boundaries and self-control. If someone is unable to detach from their past, it not only impacts their peace of mind, but also hinders the growth of their current relationship. So, how can you address this delicate situation? Start by expressing your feelings without assigning blame. You might say, "I've noticed that your connection with your ex makes me feel a bit uneasy, and I want us to talk about how we can prioritize our relationship." This approach encourages open dialogue while fostering mutual understanding. Next, focus on setting healthy boundaries. It's important to clarify what both of you are comfortable with when it comes to interactions with ex-partners. If her communication with an ex crosses boundaries that you've both agreed upon, it's a signal to reassess the dynamics of your relationship. Reflect on whether her actions align with your values and emotional well-being. If she's unwilling to prioritize your relationship and continues to maintain frequent contact with her ex despite your concerns, it may be time to reevaluate whether this connection is right for you. Let's hear from you. Have you ever experienced a situation where past relationships cast a shadow over your current one? How did you handle it, and what lessons did you take away? Share your story in the comments. Your insights might guide someone else through a similar challenge. In the end, relationships should be rooted in the present, not overshadowed by the past. As Marcus Aurelius observed, confine yourself to the present. Meditations. Seek connections that honor trust, emotional clarity, and a shared focus on building a future together. Sign 11. Easily shifting attitudes or emotions. You notice a peculiar pattern in her behavior. One moment she's warm, loving, and attentive, making you feel like the center of her world. The next, she's distant, irritable, or even dismissive, seemingly without reason. This unpredictability in her emotions and attitudes can leave you feeling confused and unsure about where you stand. While everyone experiences mood changes, constant emotional volatility may indicate underlying issues that could impact the stability of your relationship. Such mood swings can create a ripple effect in your emotional connection. When someone frequently shifts between affection and indifference, it can lead to feelings of insecurity and mistrust. You might start questioning whether her emotions are genuine or if they're tied to unresolved past experiences. Over time, this uncertainty can drain the energy and trust that a healthy relationship requires to thrive. Take Liam's story, for example. He was dating Emily, who was charming and passionate, but prone to sudden mood changes. After a romantic dinner where Emily seemed deeply connected, the next day she became distant, avoiding his calls and seeming uninterested. When Liam finally asked what was wrong, she brushed it off as just a bad mood. These repeated shifts left Liam feeling emotionally exhausted, always unsure of how to navigate her unpredictability. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Meditations. This Stoic principle is a reminder that while we cannot control someone else's emotions, we can control how we respond to them. By focusing on your own emotional stability and fostering open communication, you can navigate these challenges with clarity and purpose. So how can you handle this situation? Start by observing patterns without immediate judgment. If her mood swings seem to be triggered by specific events or situations, gently bring it up in a calm and supportive way. For example, you might say, "I've noticed that your mood changes a lot, and I want to make sure I'm supporting you in the best way. Can we talk about it?" This opens the door for dialogue without making her feel attacked. Encourage her to reflect on her emotions and consider whether external factors or unresolved issues might be contributing to her behavior. Sometimes, emotional volatility stems from past traumas or insecurities that require patience and understanding to address. However, if her emotional shifts are manipulative or consistently harm your well-being, it's essential to establish boundaries and prioritize your mental health. Ultimately, emotional stability is crucial for building trust and intimacy in a relationship. As Epictetus wisely said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Discourses. By focusing on fostering open communication, setting boundaries, and nurturing your own resilience, you can create a relationship dynamic built on mutual understanding and support. Sign 12. Unclear about future goals. We've arrived at the final sign, and it's one that speaks volumes about the foundation of any relationship: clarity about the future. Imagine this. You're sitting together, discussing dreams, ambitions, and the life you hope to build. When you ask about her plans or long-term aspirations, her answers are vague, uncertain, or evasive. She might say, "I haven't thought that far ahead," or "I just go with the flow." While a flexible mindset can be refreshing, an ongoing lack of direction could signal hesitation about long-term commitments, not only in her own life, but potentially in your relationship too. This uncertainty can have a significant emotional impact. Shared goals and a sense of direction create the trust and stability that help relationships thrive. When one partner consistently avoids future-oriented discussions, it can leave the other feeling unsupported, unsure of where the relationship is heading. Over time, this misalignment can create feelings of frustration, disconnection, and even resentment. Take the story of Alex and Rachel. Alex had always been a planner. He loved setting goals and imagining the future with his partner. Rachel, however, often deflected conversations about what was next. "Why worry about tomorrow?" she'd say. While Alex admired her spontaneity, he couldn't ignore the growing sense of uncertainty. Without a shared vision, he began to feel like they were on two completely different paths. As Marcus Aurelius observed, "You must build up your life action by action and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible, and no one can keep you from this." Meditations. This timeless wisdom encourages us to live with purpose and intention. While flexibility is important, direction gives life meaning, and in relationships, it fosters a sense of unity and shared purpose. If you're facing a similar challenge, approach the situation with empathy. Start a conversation by asking open-ended questions like, "What excites you most about the future?" Or, "What kind of life do you envision for yourself?" These questions encourage reflection and allow her to express her perspective without pressure. At the same time, share your own dreams and invite her to collaborate on creating a shared vision for the future. If, after multiple efforts, she remains unclear or resistant to engaging in meaningful discussions about the future, reflect on how this dynamic aligns with your values and emotional needs. Relationships flourish when both partners feel they're moving in the same direction, even if the details are yet to be defined. But if that alignment is missing, it may be time to reassess whether this relationship serves your long-term happiness. This final sign reminds us of the power of clarity. As Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." Discourses. True connection grows when two individuals align their dreams and build a future based on mutual understanding, trust, and shared purpose. Relationships, like life itself, are a journey of understanding, growth, and alignment. Throughout this video, we've explored 12 signs that might indicate complexities in a partner's past. But the greatest takeaway isn't about judgment, it's about awareness. Recognizing these signs allows you to approach your relationship with clarity, balancing compassion with rationality. Instead of jumping to conclusions, consider the lessons these signs reveal about compatibility, trust, and communication. True strength in any relationship comes from addressing challenges with honesty and respect. As Epictetus wisely said, "Man is disturbed not by things, but by the views he takes of them." Remember, it's not the circumstances themselves, but how we perceive and respond to them that shape our experience. Approach every relationship and every sign with a Stoic lens, focusing on what you can control and letting go of unnecessary emotional reactions. When you choose to see challenges as opportunities for growth, both individually and as a couple, you embody the resilience that Stoicism teaches. Now it's your turn. Have any of these signs resonated with your own experiences? How do you approach complex dynamics in relationships? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Let's continue this journey of wisdom and growth together.